Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for November the 23rd. Today we are reading together in Proverbs chapter 7. Proverbs chapter 7, I think, is a continuation of the last section of Proverbs chapter 6, where we read about the warnings against adultery and the wicked woman, the smooth, flattering words. I think once we get in here, chapter 7, we're going to see more of that discussion. I think verses 1 through 5 build upon that. And then beginning in verse number 6, we're going to see a story of someone who did not listen to the words of the wisdom of Solomon. And we're going to see the pain and even the death that is described here within the text. So reading here in Proverbs chapter 7, in verse number 1, my son, obey my words. Remember, we're still in the section where we're focusing on fatherly advice. My son, obey my words and treasure my commands. Keep my commands and live, and guard my instructions, as you would the pupil of your eye. Tie them to your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding your relative. She will keep you from a forbidden woman, a wayward woman with her flattering talk. So again, I think this is the call in. The warning is in chapter 6 and verses 20 through 35. And then here is the call to wisdom. If you do these things, or if you will submit yourself to wisdom, then you will avoid falling into the trap of the warning that I just gave you within the previous section. But here's the problem. What happens whenever you don't listen to wisdom? What happens whenever you do get close to the fire or you try to walk on the coals? Well, the issue is you're going to get burned. You're going to get scorched. Verse number 6 of Proverbs chapter 7, at the window of my house, I looked through my lattice. I saw among the inexperienced, I noticed among the youths, a man lacking sense. So someone who has not really embraced wisdom up until this point. Crossing the street near her corner, he strolled down the road to her house. At twilight, in the evening, in the dark of the night, a woman came to meet him, dressed like a prostitute, having a hidden agenda. She is loud and defiant. Her feet do not stay at home. Now in the streets, now in the squares, she lurks at every corner. She grabs him and kisses him. She brazenly says to him, I've made fellowship offerings today. I fulfilled my vows. So I came out to meet you, to search for you, and I found you. I've spread coverings on my bed, richly colored linen from Egypt. I've perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of love-making until morning. Let's feast on each other's love. My husband isn't home. He went on a long journey. He took a bag of silver with him and will come home at the time of the full moon. She seduces him with her persistent pleading. She lures him with flattering talk. He follows her impulsively, like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer bounding toward a trap, until an arrow pierces his liver, like a bird darting into a snare. He doesn't know that it will cost him his life. Now, sons, listen to me and pay attention to the words of my mouth. Don't let your heart turn aside to her ways. Don't stray onto her paths, for she has brought many down to death. Her victims are countless. Her house is the road to Sheol, descending to the chambers of death. That's Proverbs chapter 7. Let me write down one thing that just came to my mind, or we'll get to in just a second. Let's see here, 4:23. All right, so thinking about this text, again, this is the story of seduction. This is a story of someone who did not listen to wisdom, and wisdom begins with getting a little too close. Getting a little too close. This is someone who is willing to walk toward the danger, walk toward the trouble. And the text verse number 10 says that a woman came to meet him dressed like a prostitute. So she didn't even have to say anything yet. All he had to do is see her with his eyes and know this is a troublesome woman having a hidden agenda. And that's true about a lot of people, isn't it? That they might not tell you what their agenda is, but just by watching their behavior, the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they behave, whatever it is, you can tell what that hidden agenda is. Text says that she's loud and defiant. Her feet do not stay at home. Down the streets, down the square, she lurks at every corner. She's out causing trouble. She's out causing trouble. She says to him, kisses him, says, she even brings religion in this, which is blasphemous, I guess, in some ways. She said, I've made my fellowship offerings. I've came out to meet you, to search for you. I found you. That's not true. She wasn't looking specifically for this young man. She was looking for anybody whom she could seduce. But that's the thing about these people that behave in this way. Very flattering, very smooth with their words, and they make it seem like it's all about you, but it's not all about you. It's about them. It's about them fulfilling their desires, no matter who it is that they might hurt. I want to note verse number 19, that she says, my husband isn't home. He went on a long journey. He took a bag of silver with him and will come home at the time of the full moon. She knows that what she's doing is wrong, which is why she says, don't worry about my husband. Remember, at the end of chapter 6, verse 34, for jealousy enrages a husband, and he will show no mercy when he takes revenge. He will not be appeased by anything or be persuaded by lavish bribes. Here's the application of that. Oh, you don't have to worry about my husband. He's gone. He's not going to be back. Excuse me. He's not going to be back anytime soon. We've got plenty of time in order for us to do what we want to do. She seduces him, verse number 21. She lures with her flattering talk. So she is tricking. She is tricking this young man into doing what she wants to do. Persistent pleading. Again, the luring talk. And notice the problem. The problem here is, I mean, obviously the problem is what she's doing. But the problem, excuse me, glad I have the mute button here. The problem with this situation, it's not just what she's doing, but it's the fact that he's not prepared to resist her. He's not prepared to tell her no. And that's because he has not embraced wisdom. Verse number 22, he follows her impulsively. To be impulsive is the exact opposite of wisdom. To do something impulsively is to just fly by the seat of your pants, to do based upon your emotions, based upon your desires, based upon your feelings. It is not whatsoever engaging in critical thinking. It's not thinking through a situation and coming to recognize, oh, if I do this, this is going to get me in a lot of trouble. This isn't just being impulsive and just being real. Us young guys, I say us young guys. Maybe I still fit into that. But young guys, we're not good at that. What is it they always say, that our brains don't stop developing until like mid-20s, late 20s? Even if that is the reality, we need to strive to be wise. We need to not allow impulsive feelings to cause us to get into all sorts of trouble, which is exactly what this woman is trying to do. She's trying to get young men in trouble. She's trying, I guess primarily, she's trying to fulfill her desires. And if that gets others in trouble, then so be it. She doesn't care. So he follows her impulsively, the ox going to the slaughter, the deer bounding toward a trap, with the arrow going through the liver of the deer, the bird going into the snare. Here's the thing, verse 23, he doesn't know. Why does he not know? He doesn't know because he's not thinking. He's being impulsive. He's acting upon fleshly desires. And it will cost him his life, the text says. Now, sons, this is the conclusion then of verse 24. It's really very similar to what we see in, it's kind of the opposite, I guess, of verses 1 through 5. 1 through 5 is kind of the positive approach to it. You need to be wise. And then verses 24 through 27 is, if you don't be wise, this is what's going to happen. So listen to me, pay attention to the words of my mouth. Here's what I want us to focus on to finish out. Don't let your heart turn aside to her ways. I paused earlier to go back to chapter 4 and verse 23. I guess verse 21, actually. Chapter 4, verses 21 through, let's see here, 27, probably the good reference there. Beginning in Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 21, don't lose sight of them, which is what that's referencing. The words of Solomon, the sayings of Solomon, don't lose sight of them. Keep them within your heart. Keep them within your heart. Guard your heart, verse 23, above all else, for it is the source of life. Then I want to notice as well, verse number 26. Carefully consider the path for your feet, and all your ways will be established. So keep that in mind, chapter 4, verses 21 through 27. And then go back over here, chapter 7, and notice, don't let your heart turn aside to her way. So it begins with the heart. don't stray onto her paths. So it begins with the heart, yet the feet quickly follow. If you don't pay attention to your heart, if you don't watch your feet in the way that you walk, she has brought many down to death. Her victims are countless. Her house is the road to Sheol, descending to the chambers of death. There's pain, there's death that comes whenever we don't see the importance of guarding our hearts and make sure our hearts are in tune the right way. It affects everything else. In chapter 4, it's the heart, it's the lips, it's the eyes, it's the feet. If we do those things, that text talks about there being life. Here in chapter 7, in verses 24 through 27, if you don't guard these things, there's nothing but death. And that really is, I think, a good just final point to recognize about this text, because I believe from here on we move on past the adultery emphasis, and it just gets down to the root of it all. When we choose wisdom, we're choosing life. When we choose to be impulsive, or when we choose to be foolish, we're choosing death. Now, God does not want us to choose death. He doesn't want us to experience that, at least to experience death in the way that is a result of foolishness. No, he wants us to enjoy life. Think about Jesus, life more abundantly. How do we enjoy life more abundantly? Well, we enjoy life more abundantly whenever we desire, again, going back to what we saw earlier, whenever we have a humility toward wisdom, when we desire wisdom, whenever we're willing to listen, we're willing to learn, and we're willing to pursue. That must be our mindset, that we are willing to recognize that our ways are not good. Our own wisdom will get us in trouble. Really, it's a lack of wisdom. It's foolishness. It'll get us in trouble. But if we will desire to know the will of God, and if we are willing to submit ourselves to it and to pursue it, then we will have life. So as we consider then the first 7 chapters of the Proverbs, that is the main key. If we pursue wisdom, we desire wisdom, if we embrace wisdom, we will get to pursue and enjoy life. But if we choose foolishness, if we reject the wisdom of God, we should not be surprised whenever pain and death are the outcome. Appreciate so much you tuning into this reading today. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Reminder again, that we'll not be reading, we'll not have a new video tomorrow on Thursday, the 24th, for Thanksgiving. Is going to be a catch-up day. So if you are cleaning a turkey or peeling some potatoes, cleaning up the house, whatever it is you're doing, you want to pop in an AirPod or some headphones, some sort of, and listen to a little bit of Bible reading throughout the day until your guests get there. Catch up tomorrow, get back up to speed with us. I hope that day will provide that for you. And I hope that you just enjoy a wonderful, 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 wonderful Thanksgiving with family, recognizing, of course, that everything good that we have comes from the Lord, and our Thanksgiving should be most certainly directed toward Him. We'll also be gathering tonight for our Bible studies at 7 p.m. Very much looking forward to seeing everybody there. Thanks so much for tuning in again, everyone. Have a great Wednesday. Take care, and God bless.